So I told the feds this morning, like, yo, leave Adam, take me. Yeah, leave Adam, take me. He mean too much to the culture. He mean too much to the community. Take me, you feel me? And nigga finna turn himself in soon. Nigga finna turn. No, I'm kidding. But apparently, Adam22 was picked up or spoken to by the feds this morning. Man, they might. Well, it's not that they might, but they want to see what's going on. They want to see some of that data that you got. You know, that content. We want to see some unedited stuff. They want to see. Apparently, they want to see that cease and desist. Y'all remember that cease and desist that came out when they first started talking about Big U, and they started going wild. Like they started the whole Nipsey phone call, and it looks like they might be diving into that and whatnot. So, that's a sticky situation. But this is what Adam posted on his story.
For being fresh. If the Fed's watching, I made it 41 years into this life before I had involvement, conversation with federal agents. And when they showed up, I was wearing a red Nike Tech. Not exactly the definition of fresh, but I got a crazy update. I'm going to do the Good Diligent podcaster thing, and I'm going to save it for tomorrow at 4 p.m. with...
So today is tomorrow at 4 p.m. This was posted yesterday on his story. And he spoke about someone knocking on that big old mansion, somewhere in the hills of LA. Now, what are they asking for? Are they asking for, do they want to see the Brick Baby crash house? Do they want to know what's going on outside of that building? Now, for instance, I myself have had a little incident outside of that building with my brother Flacco, man. Shout out to my aunt. Anyways, imagine all of the things unknowingly that's happened in that parking lot. Like niggas just pull up. Like when you about to go to a no jumper interview, niggas just pouring up. Niggas just putting blicks in the whoop. Niggas just wow. You know what I mean? We getting situated. We know about no jumper. It's spicy over here. You feel me? It's spicy. So niggas got to be protected. So just imagine like they're like, we do need to confiscate it, and they run through all of that. They run through all of that. That means like, that's tough. And what does that mean for hip-hop media, too? Like, what does that mean for hip-hop media? Because I, myself, I'm struggling to get views. But I'm not necessarily chasing views. But at the same time, it's like I run a business at the end of the day. But I grew up on seeing artists talk about their stories, talk about what interests them, what are their goals and whatnot. So that's kind of what I'm doing for my community. And I can actually see it shifting the trajectory in hip-hop. And I'm actually watching the culture change from a toxic culture to a positive culture through our contributions. Let me stop being so humble. Through my contributions and by Allah. But when you have someone like Adam22 who has platformed me, who has helped change my life, y'all know we got some back and forth. I'm not into glazing and stuff like that anymore. So, respect. If niggas see potential in me, niggas want to, work with me, then that's fine. If not, then whatever Allah has for me, no man or woman can change that. So, but if he's getting not prosecuted, but if he's getting scrutinized for the platform that he's given to people, what does that mean for hip-hop media? And what I mean by that is hip-hop artists historically have been known to doing wild stuff. What do you think? Where do you think they get the fuel and the idea and creativity to rap about these things? Like, you have to be a super creative person to have an imagination to where you're just out there robbing people, killing people, doing all these wild things, and being able to put it into music. Like, it's wild. Ever since I stopped, like 7 years ago, I stopped doing anything that I wouldn't want my children to do. And it's like, I know I rap better than a lot of people. But I can't, like, what do you want me to rap about bricks? Like, no, thank you. Like, you get what I'm saying? So apparently they're living this type of lifestyle that they're rapping about. So do they just not speak about it at all? Is it like, what does it mean for them, like the whole ecosphere? You get what I'm trying to say? Like, because this is regular. They go up to No Jumper. You go up to this place. You go up to Back on Fig and all these other platforms and stuff. And you tell your story. You talk about, a lot of the controversial topics that your audience might want to know about. But at the same time, I've never seen a internet. Well, the YSL stuff. Like, I didn't know about the stuff that was going on. We heard about this Big U situation through No Jumper before. We've heard about it. We've heard about all these different situations through the internet. Like, oh my goodness. But let's see what he had to say, man. This is what Adam This is today. It was posted like an hour ago, and he talks about his encounter with the federal agent that stopped at his door. Let's see what he had to say.
And I didn't actually even know, but my girl was communicating with him through the box in the front of our house with the camera. She texts me. She says, a dude is here from the FBI, and basically he's trying to serve you with a subpoena.
Ooh.
And so she told him, like a ride or die would, she told him, Adam's not here, and he's off at work or whatever. I forget what she told him. And so I immediately hop on the line with my lawyer. I say, what should I do? I don't want to, handle this situation wrong. Over and over and over, I've sat down with rappers or whoever who tell me about situations in which they divulge too much information to the police or whoever, and it ended up coming back to bite them. Especially something that comes to mind is like Hurricane Chris, who caught a body that was blatantly self-defense. Soon as the cops come, he airs out his whole situation and ends up coming back to haunt him because the state ends up trying him. So if he had not made all those statements to the cops right after he had killed this dude, then it for sure would have been a way easier case for him to beat. Now, that being said, I'm not really that worried because I know that I myself haven't been involved in any criminality, but I figured I would have my lawyer take care of it. So my lawyer reaches out to the guy who came to my door. She assures me that she's going to be able to ask the FBI agent a handful of questions, and from that information be able to ascertain, is Adam in trouble? Is Adam going to be, forced to hand over a crazy amount of information? Because that was kind of lingering around in my head. Is like, God, this is going to be a huge pain in the ass if they want to confiscate all the computers and everything in here. We're going to have to buy a bunch of computers to use.
Where's the furnace? Start the furnace up, guys.
I don't know. I was considering that. I've not destroyed any information for the record. But this is the thing that my lawyer comes back to me with. She said the feds were interested in one thing and one thing only. Because in my head, I'm thinking they're going to want copies of the podcasts that Brick or Luce were on. They're going to want to make sure that there wasn't anything in those podcasts that was edited out. Now, anybody who knows me and No Jumper knows that we really don't like to edit things out. So the only stuff we're editing out is if it's like a 4-alarm fire, like, yo, we need to take this out. So I don't think there's ever been something that Brick or Luce told us that they needed us to edit out. But the one thing that the feds wanted was the cease and desist from Big U to No Jumper, asking us to take down the episode in which Luce Cannon first made the explosive statements that suggested that Big U had previous knowledge of Nipsey Hussle's death.
Ooh.
Now, that situation is very much outside of what was mentioned in the indictment. In the indictment, there's nothing about Nipsey. There's nothing about any of that stuff. So this, to me, is kind of massive because it makes me feel like, oh, the FBI is interested in what Big U's involvement in Nipsey's death might be, which to me seems gigantic. I don't know why that cease and desist is not going to help them prosecute Brick Baby or Luce Cannon or anybody else. But the fact that they're interested in that, to me, adds quite a bit of credibility to the argument that perhaps Nipsey Hussle's death was a more complicated situation than it appears to be.
Well, isn't
Now, that is whoa. That is whoa. Like, that is, the plot thickens. The plot thickens. Now, what I do find interesting is the day after Break Baby and Luce Cannon sit down for the first time, they get swept up. Somebody made that call. Somebody, I mean, it's not the first time that Brick has flashed a weapon on. I mean, he's never flashed a weapon. Let me. You get what I'm saying? Let me switch the. Anyways, I don't think that was a situation. What the clips that we may or may have not seen, it could be a toy, it could be whatever. You feel me? Who else besides, like, I feel like oh my goodness, that you can't. It's either Wack is somehow like guy has a really good friend in the law enforcement agency, or they come in for bruh. Yeah, it's one of the two. It's either one of the two. Either he got a good homie. He said it himself one time. He was like, one time the government had raided his house or did something that they weren't completely allowed to do, right? Like, it was unconstitutional. It wasn't a part of the scope of what they're able to do. And they told him that they owe him one. He says this many times. If you guys go search the web for it, you'll find it. Excuse me. And Ramadan Kareem to my peoples, man. But yeah, you'll find it. He says they owe me a favor. So it's either, this is my perspective, he either has a really good friend in law enforcement family that just, sends him Morse code of what's going on, or or somehow, some way they lining bruh up. Like they like either whack feeding them information thinking he's off the hook, and then they do the same situation with bruh, and it's like, wait, what could whack 100 be capable of doing? He's lived a public life the last few years. You see him on Clubhouse every day. He doesn't live a criminal life, but some of these things go back a few years before, and who knows what they uncover, you feel me? But yeah, man, y'all think they're gonna subpoena him and come back with warrants in terms of like, okay, we subpoenaed you, now we are here with court order warrants, we have marshals, we need all of that. Yeah, we need every single thing. We need the whole backlog. And you know, they got scammers, and not scammers, but they got hackers and stuff, to where even if you delete this, even if you delete whatever, they can go retrieve it and get it from the cloud or get it from somewhere. So interesting situation, man.